Months after Aelin's capture by Maeve, Rowan and the remaining members of the cadre continue their desperate, fruitless search for her. Meanwhile, Aelin suffers in isolation, locked inside an iron coffin that suppresses her magic. Tortured by Maeve's blood-sworn cairn and stripped of all hope, even from the gods, her only comfort is a childhood story of a brave princess. Fenris, trapped in his wolf form, is forced to witness her torment. Despite repeated demands to swear fealty to Maeve, Aelin refuses, knowing such a vow would doom the world and erase who she is. In Terrasen, Dorian continues to lead the kingdom's scattered forces. Though Erewhon's army hasn't yet appeared, snow begins to fall, and Dorian fears a surprise winter assault. Many of Terrasen's allies have arrived: Rowan's kin from Wendlin, Queen Ansel of Briarcliff, the Silent Assassins, and others. Lysandra, using her shape-shifting ability, has been impersonating Aelin to keep up morale. Though Dorian resents the deception, he works with her to eliminate Valg scouts and plans to move the army strategically. News soon arrives that Morath has attacked the coastal city of Eldris, confirming their fears. Alid travels with Rowan, Gavriel, and Lorcan through the lands south of Dorinel, interrogating Maeve's soldiers for clues. Lorcan, weighed down by guilt over Aelin's capture, silently hopes to redeem himself in Alid's eyes. Rowan, haunted by dreams of a future with Aelin and their children, refuses to let her die for the sake of the world. Meanwhile, Aelin continues to endure Cairn's tortures, even as visions of her mother urge her to remain strong. During a violent outburst, she nearly breaks the iron coffin, sending a magical pulse through her bond with Rowan. He now knows Aelin is in Dorinel. Farther west, Dorian and Manon, along with the 13, scour the western wastes in search of the elusive Crochant witches and the final word key. Dorian contemplates sacrificing himself to forge the lock, a magical object needed to seal the word gate. He summons Gavin, the first king of Adarlan, hoping for guidance. Gavin, reluctant to endanger Elena's spirit, refuses to help, until pressed by Dorian's anger. He finally admits the key is in Morath. Elsewhere, Chaol sails back to Erelea with Yrene and half of the southern continent's navy, unaware of Aelin's fate. Bound by a magical life bond, Yrene's healing powers allow Chaol to walk again, but if he dies, so does she. She also carries a secret. She's pregnant. Nesryn and Sartak scout the coast with Falcon, a shapeshifter, to prepare the fleet's path. In the wastes, a Stygian spider, one Manon previously tricked, attacks the camp. The spider, infused with Falcon's stolen magic, is captured and bargains for her life by leading them to the Crochants. Maeve reveals herself as Valg royalty when Cairn presents Aelin to her in Dorinel. She forces Aelin to kneel on broken glass, mocking her with Queen Mab's crown. In a brutal show of power, Maeve commands Fenris's twin to kill himself. Aelin retaliates by hurling glass at Maeve, drawing black blood. Later, Fenris is briefly allowed to shift and tend to Aelin's wounds. They mourn together, silently enduring. On the battlefield, Lysandra, still impersonating Aelin, leads a victory in Eldris and pushes toward Orinth. In Anniell, Chaol and Yrene prepare the city for battle after Sartak and Nesryn warn of an incoming 10,000-strong army. Morath's troops are only 3 days away, while reinforcements are a week behind. Back in Dorinel, Maeve plants false memories in Aelin's mind, crafting a fantastical tale of otherworldly origins and a queen fleeing from ancient kings. She tries to extract the word key's locations, but Aelin sees through the deception. Maeve leaves to retrieve a wordstone collar, intending to enslave Aelin, and orders Cairn to relocate her. Meanwhile, Manon meets her great-grandmother Glennis, leader of the Crochants, and learns the truth of her lineage. But her past as an Iron Teeth witch casts doubt on her legitimacy. When Iron Teeth clans attack, Manon defends the Crochants. Though she claims innocence, Damaris, the truth-telling sword, detects a lie. Glennis introduces Bronwyn, Manon's cousin, who denies her claim to the Crochant throne. Dorian, now studying shape-shifting magic, kills the spider and begins preparing for his own infiltration of Morath. Back in Terrasen, Lysandra faces Lord Darrow and the ruling lords. Her fire powers still hidden, Darrow doubts her right to rule, and limits strategy decisions to the lords, who vote to retreat north. Allies voice their loyalty to Aelin, but follow orders. A Valg soldier then attacks Lysandra, revealing her shifter identity before being slain, but not before alerting the Valg network that Aelin is missing. Edion decides to move the army south regardless. Nox Owen, an old rebel saved by Aelin, recognizes Lysandra's disguise and helps drug the lords, allowing Edion to move forward with his plan. In Anniell, Chaol and Irene arrive to prepare defenses with Chaol's estranged father. Rux and healers soon land, but their army is still far behind. Morath's army looms closer. Alid, meanwhile, spreads false rumors about a Valg prince with a wordstone collar to sow confusion and draw attention. With Maeve's army growing around Dorinel, Alid prepares to infiltrate the city and rescue Aelin herself. As Morath's armies thunder north, Lysandra, still disguised as Aelin, flies ahead in bird form to scout their numbers. What she sees is staggering: 50,000 soldiers led by Ilkin and 5 Valg princes. Terrasen has only half that strength, and when the armies clash, Terrasen is driven back in wave after wave. The soldiers whisper uneasily. Why does their queen never wield her fire? Meanwhile, Alid infiltrates Dorinel in disguise, posing as Cairn's spurned lover. At a tavern, she pries out information. Maeve has left the city, but Cairn is camped to the east. A female warrior, Essar, an old ally of Maeve's cadre, secretly aids her, confirming Cairn's location. Far away, Manon and the 13 march with the Crochans toward Aelway. Dorian struggles with shapeshifting, managing only to change his eyes. Beneath their banter, an affection begins to surface between him and Manon. In Maeve's camp, Aelin is strapped to a table, facing fresh torment from Cairn. She taunts him, hoping to die before Maeve can force a wordstone collar around her neck. At the same time, Rowan feels her suffering through their bond and races toward her. Aelin's defiance pushes Fenris to make a desperate choice. He severs Maeve's blood oath, nearly killing himself, but freeing him to attack Cairn. In the chaos, Aelin smashes her chains and runs, unknowingly toward Lorcan and Gavriel. They shield her from arrows, while she cuts through soldiers with brutal efficiency. When they regroup, Rowan and Gavriel capture Cairn. Rowan chains him to the torture table, and at last delivers Cairn's death in fire and blood. Still shackled and masked with iron, Aelin finally teaches Rowan the wordmark for open. Using his blood, he frees her. Her fire erupts once more, her shift burning away, and her companions see with shock that all her scars are gone. While Aelin recovers, Dorian and Manon's path grows darker. They find the battlefield where Crochans once stood, now nothing but corpses. The 13 bury the fallen, earning Crochan respect. When Dorian attempts to summon Gavin again, another spirit answers, Kaltain Rompier. Once a victim of Erewhon's collars, she sacrificed herself to save Elide. Her ghost confirms the last word key lies in Morath, and warns Dorian not to stray from his task. With newfound determination, he finally shifts into a raven. On Terrasen's battlefront, Edion leads men in hopeless fights. For 3 days they bleed, retreating toward Peranth. Soldiers murmur that their queen never calls on her fire, and Edion's bitterness festers. He lashes out at Lysandra, calling her worthless, though she's sacrificed everything to uphold Aelin's ruse. Elsewhere, Aelin struggles to believe she is truly free, not in another of Maeve's illusions. The little folk guide her and her companions through secret caves toward the sea, gifting her Mab's crown and declaring her their queen. At Anniell, the shadow of Morath falls. Residents flee, while those too weak shelter in Westfall Keep. Chaol and Irene brace for battle. Just as Nezrin and Sartak arrive with their Ruck cavalry, Chaol learns Irene is pregnant. The revelation shakes him, but there's no time. Morath's vast host is already at the gates. Manon, now respected by the Crochans, seeks to unite witches against Erewhon. She flies to the Farian Gap to convince Petra Blueblood and her Iron Teeth warriors. There she confesses the cruelty of her grandmother, who once branded Astrid for grieving her stillborn child. Manon lays out a bold vision, Crochans and Iron Teeth fighting together, breaking the curse that bound them to exile. She leaves Petra to decide. Aboard a ship to Terrasen, Aelin and Rowan reclaim intimacy. sharing their grief and love. Lorcan, desperate not to lose Elide, swears the blood oath to Aelin, binding himself to her court. For the first time, she allows herself to plan again, not only for war, but for a future. Storms drive their ship to dock, where Aelin begins teaching word marks to her companions. She dreams still of Maeve's torture and of the gods demanding her sacrifice. But the fires within her burn steady again. Back at Anniell, the city holds out for 5 brutal days. Then, at last, the southern continent's cavalry, led by Prince Hussar, rides to their aid. Chaol fights on the battlefield while Irene works her healing magic, their bond a fragile light against the darkness of war. As Aedian's army retreats to Orinth, morale plummets. Without Aelin's fire, soldiers believe they've been abandoned. They cross the frozen Lanus River, but Morath's forces are close behind. Whitethorn Fae unfreeze the river to drown a portion of the enemy. But when battle resumes, Terrasen's troops begin to flee. Lysandra, in Aelin's form, enters the battlefield to inspire them, fighting bravely despite serious injuries. Just as she turns the tide, witches arrive with deadly witch towers. One performs the devastating spell known as the Yielding, sacrificing herself to obliterate 4,000 Terrasen soldiers in an instant. Elsewhere, Chaol, Irene, and the Southern allies discuss strategy when Aelin and her group finally arrive. She reunites with Chaol and meets Irene again, remembering their brief encounter in the past. They confirm that Stygian spiders and Maeve are Valg in origin. Nesryn reveals Irene's breakthrough. Valg parasites can be removed without killing their human hosts. Elide, still furious with Lorcan for his past betrayal, tells him she doesn't care if he survives the upcoming battle. Meanwhile, Dorian and Manon await the Iron Teeth's response. Dorian continues practicing shapeshifting in Raven form to prepare for his infiltration of Morath. Back at Orinth, soldiers discover Lysandra's identity after she shifts back while injured. Trust is shattered. Aedian, stripped of his rank by Darrow, is now just a soldier. Darrow threatens to execute Lysandra if she impersonates Aelin again. Aelin's encounter with Chaol's father goes poorly, and in private, the group discusses Dorinel's future. As Mab's heir, Aelin has a rightful claim, but she wishes the throne to go to a descendant of Mora instead. The Crochan camp is interrupted by the arrival of the 3 Iron Teeth matrons. In a fierce confrontation, Manon kills the Yellowlegs matron and takes back the Crochan crown. She spares the Blue Blood matron, honoring Petra's loyalty, while her cruel grandmother flees. Glennis crowns Manon Queen of Witches. Aelin still hasn't used her fire. She helps raid a treasury for armor and weapons, donning gold armor for the next battle. Rowan grows increasingly concerned. At Anniell, Nesryn and Sartak discover Morath soldiers trying to destroy the dam, risking everyone on the plain. The Rooks destroy the battering ram, but the dam is damaged. Lorcan charges into battle and is badly wounded. Elide steals a horse and finds him barely alive. They try to flee, but the dam bursts. Aelin arrives just in time, landing via Rook, and unleashes her full power, turning the wall of water into steam and saving the army. The next morning, Dorian prepares to leave for Morath. Manon asks him to stay, and even proposes marriage to unite their people. He doesn't believe she truly wants that, though they share one final night together. When she wakes, Dorian and the word keys are gone. Morath retaliates by catapulting the heads of Ansel's promised reinforcements onto the battlefield. Just as all seems lost, Rolf arrives with the legendary Mycenaean fleet, armed with fire lances. Their arrival gives Terrasen's army the chance to retreat to Orinth. In the aftermath, healers tend to the wounded. Lorcan recovers, and Elide finally tells him she loves him too. Manon receives news from a scout. Terrasen is calling for aid. She answers the call, lights the flame of war, and sends the message across the continent to gather the Crochants to battle. Aelin tells Rowan she sent letters to Dorinel before they left Wendlin, warning of Maeve's Valg ties, hoping to incite rebellion. The southern leaders agree to march with her to Terrasen. Meanwhile, Irene begins healing Valg-possessed victims. Aelin dares to hope. Could Irene's magic destroy Erewhon and Maeve without her needing to sacrifice herself? She and Rowan search ancient texts for answers, but find nothing. They strike an alliance with the wild men of the White Fang Mountains, trading land for a secret route to Terrasen. Half the Rukin will march east to distract Erewhon's forces. Disguised as a mouse, Dorian infiltrates Morath and witnesses a secret meeting between Maeve and Erewhon. With rebellion brewing in Dorinel, Maeve offers her loyalty and her spider handmaidens as vessels for Valg princesses. Erewhon shares his goal, bringing his brothers, Orcus and Mantix, into their world. But Maeve senses Dorian's presence and traps him. She proposes a trade, Erewhon's destruction in exchange for the word keys. Dorian counters, offering marriage and a political alliance if her spiders join Terrasen instead. Maeve agrees. Dorian then impersonates Vernon Locan to get close to Erewhon, but learns nothing about the last word key. Maeve implants Valg princesses into her spiders, while Dorian secretly searches for the last key. Posing again as a mouse, he hides in Maeve's pocket to infiltrate another meeting with Erewhon. Maeve delays his orders by offering illusions of his brothers. While Erewhon is distracted, Dorian sneaks into his tower and finds a woman with the final word key embedded in her arm. After removing it, she begs for death. Maeve arrives, kills her, and attempts to control Dorian's mind. But he's one step ahead. Dorian turns the tables, using her own magic against her, steals her portal ability, and escapes as he brings Morath's foundation crashing down. Back on the battlefield, Vernon is captured and reveals devastating news. Orinth has fallen, Maeve has allied with Erewhon, and 100,000 soldiers are marching toward Orinth. Aelin prepares for a last stand, sending Lysandra and Evangeline to safety. But instead of fleeing, Lysandra stays and begins to forgive Aelin after his declaration of love. Just in time, Manon and the 13 arrive with 5,000 Crochon witches, forcing Morath to pause. Meanwhile, Dorian, now possessing all three word keys, hides in wyvern form among the Iron Teeth heading for Orinth. Lysandra shifts into a sea dragon, guarding the Florine River's mouth. On land, Aelin launches fire-covered boulders. In the sky, Manon and the 13 clash with the Iron Teeth. Aelin is stabbed by a Valg prince, but Lord Ren saves him with a fire lance. Aelin's army rushes toward Orinth. Rowan ranks the tattoos erased from her body during captivity, adding 2 new ones, one that tells their story and one whose meaning remains a mystery. Elide and Lorcan confirm their future together. Dorian finds Aelin and reveals he now holds all 3 word keys. Beneath the city, Lysandra, still in sea dragon form, holds back Morath's advance. Manon and Abraxos are attacked mid-air, but Petra Blueblood arrives with Iron Teeth warriors and saves them. The 13, without Manon, fly to the repaired witch tower and perform a mass yielding, obliterating the tower and thousands of Morath's soldiers at the cost of their lives. The next day, flowers are laid on the battlefield in honor of the 13. Unbeknownst to Manon, King's Flame blooms in the western wastes, hinting the witch's ancient curse may be broken. Dorian and Kyle reunite with tears. A vote among allies concludes. Aelin must forge the lock now, before another battle. Rowan suggests Aelin and Dorian share the burden, each giving up half their magic to survive. They travel to Endovir, where it all began. Aelin absorbs the word keys and becomes the living word gate. But in the in-between realm, it becomes clear the lock will kill them both. Then, the spirit of Dorian's father appears. The former king of Adarlan offers his life in place of his son's. Aelin accepts the sacrifice and sends Dorian back. Together, she and the king forge the lock and seal the word gate. Aelin's parents, through Dorian's father in the afterlife, send her a final message of love and pride. With Dorian's father sacrificing himself, the lock is forged, and Aelin loses almost all of her magic, left with only a sliver of water magic from her mother's bloodline. When the gods arrive demanding release, Aelin opens a portal to their true realm. But when she bargains for Elena's soul in exchange for Erewhon's removal, the goddess Diana cruelly destroys Elena instead. Furious, Aelin traps the gods in a hell dimension, stealing their exit. Mala, her fire goddess ancestor, leaves Aelin a gift of power, enough to seal all word keys and return home. Using the word marks Rowan tattooed on her, Aelin navigates back through realms, briefly falling through Crescent City and Prythian, where Rhysand slows her descent. Back in Arelea, Aelin wakes, immortal but nearly powerless. As the final war rages, allies like Anniell and the Crochans gather. Though the gods did not remove Rowan, Aelin sealed all gates, preventing his brothers from ever returning. Aedion's forces are nearly overrun. With resources dwindling, he and Lysandra finally confess their love. A mysterious white stag, the Lord of the North, leads Aelin's armies through a hidden path to the capital. A brutal final battle begins. Lysandra saves Aelin from a wyvern. Gavriel sacrifices himself to seal the western gate. At the southern gate, Aelin stands alone to face Rowan and Maeve. She plants doubt in Rowan's mind about Maeve's loyalty, which causes him to flee to confront Yrene. But it's a trap. Dorian has disguised himself, and Yrene is airlifted in by Lysandra. Together, they destroy Rowan. Before dying, Rowan reveals Dorian was named after him. Meanwhile, Maeve assaults Aelin's friends with illusions. Aelin frees them and opens a portal, summoning ancient Fae warriors to defeat Maeve's spider handmaidens. In the final blow, Fenris stabs Maeve with Goldrin. Aelin finishes it by placing Silba's ring on Maeve's finger and beheading her. With both Rowan and Maeve defeated, the Valg armies collapse. Aelin's people chant Yrene's name in victory as she returns home at last. In the aftermath, Darrow formally crowns Aelin Queen of Terrasen. Lorcan proposes to Alide and vows a mortal life with her. Yrene plans to build a Torre Sesme in Adarlan. The Crochans, led by Manon, return to the Wastes, their curse lifted. Aelin proposes a more democratic government and visits Manon to honor the 13 with a memorial. Dorian begins forming a new aerial legion with wyverns and Rukin, while Nezrin returns to the southern continent to become empress. As spring arrives, Terrasen blooms again. Kingsflame covers the land. Alide and Lorcan are married, and Aedion and Lysandra begin planning theirs. Aelin's dream of a better world, hard-earned, has finally come true.